Okay, I got about 1 minute. Does anyone know if Rhonda's going to make it tonight? Can anyone hear me?
I tried texting her, but I have not heard back from her.
I emailed her earlier in the day too, and I didn't hear back from her. Gary, are you on line?
He's joining right now, so he probably did not hear you.
Okay. Okay, Gary's on now. Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to, item number A is call to order. We're going to call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock on September 21st, 2021. Due to the outbreak of the virus in our office area, the office hall has been closed and will remain closed until it is determined to be safe to those working and those visiting our office. We do not have a set date to return at this point. The township clerk does have access to the hall and is performing her duties from there. If you need to get in contact with somebody about township business, she's the one to get a hold of. Our prayers and thoughts are out with those with the virus from our township. Item number B is pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number C is roll call. Christy Case.
I'm here.
Rhonda Collins is absent. Gary Gruss.
I'm present at a logged in at a remote location on Columbia Township and Buren County.
Bev Sherrer.
Present, attending from my home, Columbia Township, Michigan.
I'm Ken Speicher, Supervisor. I'm located at home at 08985 51st and Half Street in Van Buren County, Michigan. Christy is at the Township Hall. Next item on our business is agenda. And we need to approve the agenda. So I need a motion to approve the agenda at this time. Anyone want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion. My agenda does not have these other communication letters in there, but that's fine. I'll approve it as written on the screen.
Okay. Gary's approved. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second. I'm trying to get my screen open here, but I've looked at the agenda previously. I'll second that.
Roll call vote. Christy?
Yes.
Rhonda's absent. Gary?
Yes.
Bev?
Yes.
And Ken, yes. At this point, we will take public comments on the agenda items. Christy, you're going to have to let me know who's got the hands up and to let them in.
Steve mentioned right at the beginning that he wanted to speak, so we'll go ahead and start with him.
Okay.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, Steve, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. So Steve Schultz from Bloomingdale Communications. A couple of quick things. In the past, since last month's meeting, we've had an opportunity as a company to meet with folks from the Saddle Lake Association and also the Saddle Lake Island Association. And we also had an opportunity to have a really great meeting with Gary and Beverly from the Township Board. That was just yesterday. I want to kind of emphasize, again, that was a really great meeting. I do want to emphasize that whenever we're talking as a company about the township, I clearly recognize that one of the things that I did as a mistake was not to actually meet with the township trustees individually or as a larger, as the group that we can meet, because it can't be a majority of the trustees. Just to talk more about the project, to talk more about the situation with our company and this funding request that we have for the American Rescue Plan Act funds, ARPA. And so having the opportunity to go and talk to the residents in the Saddle Lake area and a couple other areas, and also to talk to both of the trustees, Beverly and Gary, was really impactful. It helped me to understand kind of what I had done wrong, and also to help me just to really kind of emphasize that our message to the residents and to the property owners in these different areas has just been a positive one. We were asking for support from the residents in the same way that we're asking support from the Columbia Township Board. And also just to understand that the Township Board has their due diligence process and the things that they needed to do. So it's completely understandable that in the last meeting or so, people wanted to raise concerns, take a breath, take a pause, and better understand kind of who we are as a company, what we were requesting, and why. So I appreciate all of that. Thanks so much to the board for their willingness to follow up, willingness to meet with us. And I continue to say, if anyone on the board or even if residents have a question, I'm happy to answer that. I did field a call from a resident in the Saddle Lake. They don't live on the lake, but they live in the Saddle Lake area. And that person was under some sort of misunderstanding about what the Township Board was doing and why they were doing it. I tried to turn that into a positive thing and just reiterate that the Township Board has their process and actually needs to go through that process, and that we respect that. So thanks so much to everybody, and I'll hang on if people have questions, but if not, I'll just keep listening. Thanks again. And last thing, I'd like to emphasize my prayers for the folks that are sick, because when I hear that stuff, that's really worrisome, and hopefully just everybody gets better, stays healthy, and that the township can get back to doing business as usual in a good and safe way.
All right, thank you, Steve. I believe that Karen had her hand up. Karen, go ahead. Karen, you're still on mute.
Can you hear me now?
I sure can.
Okay. I wanted to begin by thanking Steve for his comments. As far as the items on the agenda, I have a few different agenda items. The first one in order here, sale of land. It's my view that it is imperative to the integrity of the bid process to maintain deadlines and avoid any temptation for exceptions. As for the ARPA funds that Steve was just mentioning, for anyone else just tuning in, 3 of the 5 board members had not been given much notice ahead of the July board meeting about that request for 100% of the 249,216 for the ARPA funds. The 4 members that were in attendance in July agreed that such a significant decision should not be rushed with 1 member absent. So they did postpone that part of it, but they did approve applying for funds at that meeting. And then during the August meeting, alternative uses for a portion of the award were brought up for discussion. Our county commissioner reported that there's good reason to believe that additional infrastructure funding will also become available to contribute toward internet projects. The majority wound up voting to support internet infrastructure via Bloomingdale Communications, but postponed the determination of the dollar amount for further study, noting that cellular service is also a concern in the area. I personally am proud that this board took the time to explore options before committing 100% of the ARPA funds. Although language for grants may not change often, the U.S. Treasury received enough comments to release an explainer document for the interim rules until a final rule is issued. At this point, it seems prudent that the board could commit funds to launch the portion of the Reconnect project within the boundaries of the Columbia Township and still maintain the flexibility to either add to that amount later or to fund other qualifying projects. Probably another prudent thing to do is prior to the vote, ask that anybody who might be a shareholder would disclose that and recuse themselves if that is applicable. Depository designation is another item on the agenda, and I was afraid that Rhonda might be absent tonight, and I know that the last time she and I spoke on the topic, there was at least one more institution that she wanted to visit. So in her absence, it would seem the thing to do to wait for her return. I don't think she objected to any of the institutions listed on tonight's resolution, but she may have more to add. As for the cemetery software that was discussed a little bit last time, and it looks like it may be dropped tonight, although it is not specifically a statutory duty, townships often designate cemetery duties to the clerk, and I believe Columbia Township did so years ago. Clerk case is absolutely correct that there are still some unresolved issues with the record keeping of our cemeteries. When this topic comes back for discussion, I suggest that you first explore GIS mapping, I believe it's called, to kind of know what's happening underground. While there are many ways to manage the paperwork aspect, it would be difficult to accurately record burial site locations without such advanced technologies. And of course, there would be costs to that as well. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else have a public comment at this time?
Hello, folks. This is John Buren. Can you?
Hi, John. Go ahead.
Hi. I'm just with the Great Bear Lake Homeowners Association. We're a lake here between Bloomingdale Township and Columbia Township. So I believe I'm on the agenda in the new business section, but just here to let folks know that we were interested in pursuing a special assessment district. So I just wanted to confirm that I'd be on the new business stuff at the end, correct?
Yes, you are.
Okay, fantastic. I'll wait and talk then. Thank you.
Okay, well, it appears as though we don't have anyone else that has a public comment. Ken, just want to note that we received several communications that are all linked within the agenda and board members have access to, as well as the public in our online agenda.
I've also received about 5 positive things to the Bloomingdale communications by phone calls. And I think I have a couple more emails also that I can turn over to you that I got late. We're going to close public comments now at 7:14. And we're going to go into Talked about the communications on the agenda, so we're over at consent agenda. Part of the consent agenda is the meetings from the previous meeting. To approve those expenditures paid, expenses, payroll, invoices to be paid. And we got the treasurer's report and the bank balances. Does anyone have any discussions on those items?
I had a
Hearing,
couple of-
go ahead.
I'm sorry, I had a couple of questions for Christie, and she answered those for me. And looking over the balance of it, it looks like it's all in order to me.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Gary moved. Can I get a second?
I'll support. It's Christie.
Christie's support. Roll call vote. Christie?
Yes.
Rhonda's absence. Gary Gruss?
Yes.
Bev Shear? Bev Shear?
Oh, yes, I keep trying to unmute. I see it's working now, but I'm using the space bar. It doesn't always work. Yes.
Okay, Ken Speicher is yes. Item number G is the information and reports. There's a lot of reports in there. I strongly recommend that you take a look at those. There's a lot of good information. I
Mr.
would,
Mr. Supervisor,
now-
this is Commissioner Doral. Just, can I add two quick things to my report?
I was just getting to that. If anyone provided
Okay.
a report would like to make a verbal report or comments on their report, they can do that now.
It was stated in there that with Tony DeCoba retiring, we were going to interview and replace him. We did do that. We interviewed 3 people, and Lori Schlip, who was actually his COO, has been there like 30 years, is Tony's replacement. And another thing that we are talking about, it's kind of, stay tuned, redistricting, that based on, the census, there may be some changes within the county commissioners, how that's done. And our census came back at 75,587 people, down about 1,000 folks. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hey, Bev, if you're talking, we can't hear you. Still can't. Hey, click on your Zoom meeting and then press the space bar.
You can hear me now, correct?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make a brief mention of the planning commission meeting. Last month was canceled due to a lack of quorum. Hopefully next month we should have a full house and should go forward with that. And also the only other thing is meeting with Clerk case a few times to figure out some projects where I can be of assistance.
Anyone else? If not, we're going to move on to unfinished business, land sales. I would like to first make a comment that I was not expecting to have bidding war at the end of the period time. When 2 or 3 people bidding on lots within seconds of themselves were bidding, and it happened like in 1/10 of a second for who won, who lost. And for the future, right now we need to stay with our policies, our procedures on how we're going to work it. But in the procedure, I'd like to try to come up with a better process on these that are selling very hot towards the end of the bidding process, where there's an opportunity for somebody to actually bid for high bid by us sending out maybe a letter to them adding 15 minutes onto the bidding process, but I'm gonna have to talk through all that. I just want to put that out for something that I observed. If anyone's got any suggestions, I would like some suggestions on that too. That would help us. The second thing we have is the J.C. Hamilton. He purchased a piece of property that was restricted to 2 other bidders. And since then, he's bought adjacent property. He's sort of in a gray area that our policies and procedures don't cover. But in this case, since he's now adjacent property owner, he would have been titled. If he hadn't have been adjacent property owner, the owner of the property that gave him the right to bid on it is, basically is given his authority to bid on it. So what I'm suggesting is that we should probably go ahead and approve his bid of $405 for parcel 8006-283-03700. Due to the fact that the guy could have bought it and sold it to him, the guy could have given him his bidding process, sold it to him, and now he owns a lot. So there's a lot of justification for that, but not necessarily with our process. Now, another thing about his other properties, they touch the corner of this parcel also. So the corner property is matched beforehand, but he wasn't allowed to bid because he already had a buildable lot. So any discussion on that, on what the board would like to do with that?
My
Can,
comment,
oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I'm not quite following you, Ken. Why was he not allowed to bid?
Well, to make a buildable lot, we decided that only the adjacent property owners that could benefit to get enough square footage would be able to get that. At the time, he wasn't one of those property owners, adjacent property owners. But one of the people that was gave him his bidding process, his restricted bidding thing, to be able to bid on the lot. And with that, he authorized JC to go ahead and buy it. Then JC bought adjacent lot. Now he's making it a buildable lot because he's got enough lots. So it's just not a standard process, but it probably ended up being a standard process after the fact. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. So to be clear, these are now all adjacent to him now. And is that over there on the fire lane 3?
No, he's over in the Little Bear Park. That'd be fire lane 1, opposite of fire lane 2.
Yeah.
And now his properties are all kind of contingent, right? They're all next to each other.
That's correct.
Okay.
The only thing I would add to that, to the board would be that if he obtained that in a fraudulent way, like for lack of a better term, if he hacked into something to bid on it, then I would say it would be ineligible and he shouldn't own it. However, that being said, if this was an agreement between the person that was going to bid on it anyway, and that person and TJ had an arrangement, a personal arrangement outside the realm of the township's authority or procedures, and he was able to bid and get it, then I'd say it's a done deal. And it has nothing to do with, at this point, following the procedures of the township because it was outside that realm.
Yeah, and just so everyone is really clear about what exactly that process was, those that we had originally selected as adjacent property owners received a letter in the mail with a password that allowed them to access the page that the bid was on. And so the property owner provided that letter to TJ so that he could make that bid, place that bid.
Right, that was my comment, was that that's a deal between them two outside the realm of the township's procedure, then that's okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the sale of parcel 8006-283-03700 037-00 to Mr. Hamlet for $405.
So moved.
Gary moved. Can I get a second?
I'll support.
Christie second. Roll call vote. Christie?
Yes.
Rhonda's absent. Gary?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
And Ken, yes.
And Ken, may I add something on the issue you brought up earlier about the timing?
Sure.
I bid on a website, a local place called M37 Auctions. And they have a thing when you're at the end of the auction, if two people are bidding, each bid extends it by 5 minutes, and they put a stop on it at some point, but it does give someone a little extra time. Maybe you could talk to them, or I could talk to them and get in writing exactly how that works for consideration, an idea to just look at.
Christie's kind of running our bidding process. I'll probably sit down with her and we'll work out a way to do that, which might even be a written in bid at that point, where we just kind of put them in limbo and slide them out to letter bid where they come in with their best price. It's a high bid. Moving on to the other lots, we have a lot that sold and there's some that didn't sold. So I'm going to go through the bid summary, and then we'll vote on each one separately to get everyone looking at the right property. And the first parcel is going to be 8006 281 900 90100 and 281 920-00. And that high bid was $7,501 by bidder number 25. There was a bid just prior to that, and there are two bids after that. And what we're going by is when it made it to 1959, who's ever in that range, up to that range point, would win the bid. In this case, it was bidder number 25. And I really don't think there's much we need to discuss on it, but is there any discussion? You should, Christie, could you put up that bid? Do you have that the summary? I think it's page down, right there. It's the one on the left-hand side, top corner. And that just had a bid before and a final bid. So that's pretty clear cut. Any discussion on that? Everyone see the table, understand what happened? At 1955.20, there's a bid put in of $7,501. Okay, not hearing any discussion. Could I get a motion to accept a bid of $7,501 for parcel 8006 281-901-00 and 8006 281-920-00 to bidder number 25?
I'll support it.
Gary made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll support.
Is that Rhonda? Excuse me. Is that
Yeah,
Beverly?
it's Rhonda, Ken. Yeah.
Is that Beverly?
Yes, it is.
I gotta put absent on all hers. Roll call. Christie?
Yes.
Rhonda's absent. Gary?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
And Ken, yes. The next one's gonna be the one in the center there. It's gonna be the 820700 and the 282. 282-01900. And this one has a bid of 1959-19 by 25, and then 1959 by 58, number 38, and their bid was $950. The next bid was over the 8 o'clock, therefore the 1959-58 wins the bid. And that'll be better, 38. So is there any discussion? Hearing none, could I get a motion to accept the bid of $950 for parcel 8006 282-007-00 and 8006 282-01900 to bidder number 38.
I'll support it.
Thank you, Gary. Can I get a second?
I'll support.
That's Christie. Roll call vote. Christie,
Yes.
Rhonda's absent. Gary,
Yes,
Beverly, got your mic on, Beverly?
Well, it's supposed to be on, yes. I'm sorry, I was trying to make the motion.
And Ken, yes. We did the 950. The next one is one on the screen up there. It's the 82-111-00 and 282-11300. And the high bidder on that is on the next page. And basically this was the one with a bidding war, and it went a minute and a half beyond the shut-off time. But in the end, the final bidder was number 39 for $7,801. So can I get a motion to accept a bid of $7,801 for parcels 8006, 282-011-00 and 8006, 282-113-00 to bidder number 39. Can I get a motion?
it's me again. I'll move.
Gary made the motion. Can I get a second?
I'll support.
Beverly supported. Roll call vote. Christie,
Yes.
Rhonda's absence. Gary? Gary? Gary,
Yes, sir.
that's a yes.
Yes,
Beverly?
Yes, yes as well.
And Ken, yes. The next one is just one single bidder. The only bid, it was $750 to bidder number 25. Can I get a motion to accept the bid of $750 for parcel 8006, 282, 301-00 and 8006, 282-33300 to bidder number 25?
so moved.
Gary made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll support.
That is Christie? Bev? Which one?
It was Bev.
Bev. Roll call vote. Christie?
Yes.
Gary?
Well, the only comment I have is look at the timestamp. It's over the allotted time. So is that going to make a difference?
check, I almost did what you just did, Gary, but if you look at the date, she bid way before the day of the end date. The end date was the 15th.
9/15. 9/15 was the end date. He did it on August 31st.
Okay, that's fine. Then I'll say yes.
Beverly
Yes.
and Ken is yes. The next parcel is a single parcel, and the final bidder was bidder number 36 at 19.59 on the 15th. Is there any discussion that we need there? I think it's pretty clear cut. So can I get a motion to accept the bid of $631 for parcel 83-310-00 to bidder number 36? Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion. I'll support.
Beverly, you made the motion,
Yes.
and Christie, you supported?
Yes, I'll support.
Roll call vote. Christie,
Yes.
Rhonda's absent. Gary,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
and Ken, yes. These lots that you're looking at right now, which is 8006, 140-003-00 and 8006, 140-002-10. Both of these lots had a minimum bid much higher than the $4,000. And since they didn't meet our criteria, I believe that we should make a motion to not accept the bids. And according to our process, we would not accept these bids being lower, but we would rebid these lots, but we will reduce our minimum bid by a percentage of what the original bid was. It still wouldn't get it down to the $4,000, but we would do that, start the bidding process, and we go through that till we get down to a low enough that someone bids on it.
I'll
That's
make
how-
that.
That's how we're supposed to work.
I'll make that motion, Ken.
What I like to do is get a motion for each one of them because somebody did bid on them. So what I like to get a motion to reject bid of $4,500 for parcel 8006-140-003-00 as bidder number 27 did not submit minimum bid price. Can I get a motion?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Beverly made the motion.
I'll support it.
A second. Gary seconded. Roll call votes. Christie,
Yes.
Collins is absent. Gary,
Yes.
Bev,
Yes.
yes. Ken, yes. The one that's just like this, can I get a minimum? Can I get a motion to reject bid of $4,500 for parcel 8006-140-002-10 as bidder number 27 did not submit minimum bid price? Can I get a motion for that?
Ken, I think you said -10 and it's -00.
That's 010. Did I say 00? No
No,
glasses.
I'm seeing 00, but you said 010.
On the 140-002, it's 110. I'm looking
Okay,
right at it on the screen. On the screen.
I just have 10.
Oh, wow. The one I'm looking at says 00, swear. That's crazy.
140-002-10 is what I'm showing.
That's what I'm showing.
Okay.
I think that's what I said.
Yes, that's what you said, but it's not what I'm seeing on my screen. So, but I went in through.
Yeah, the motion that I originally typed has a typo in it, but on screen, it has the correct bidder number.
Okay, so I'm not looking at your screen that you're sharing, Christie. I'm just looking at the agenda that was online. So yeah, I'll okay. I trust that, and I will make that motion if nobody has.
Can I get a second?
So moved.
Gary, second. Christie?
Yes,
Yes. Rhonda's absent. Gary,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
and Ken is a yes. One follow-up thing on the sales, there are some bids that did not get any bids, some lots that got no bids. Christie is, according to the process, will go ahead and lower those by that percentage that was agreed upon and get them back out for the bidding process. So, and we'll keep doing that until we sell all these. So that's gonna end the bidding items, and we are on the ARPA fund. We did have a communication from our attorney, a memo on this. It's been changed. We've added more medical supplies for the fire department, some cleaning at the township hall, and supplies that we needed at the township hall. We have kept the iPads that we talked about. We have added HVAC to exchange the air. Those are in for like $10,000. And one at the township hall to be able to have indoor meetings and have the proper airflow. And then we added a contingency or a cushion fund for future issues that might come up that would require more cleaning, more services, and things like that. So basically what we end up with a funding to the communications section of this would be $179,000. Now, as things go along and things change, some of this money that we don't spend, like iPads, if they don't come in at 20,000, that excess can be moved to other areas. It can be even moved to the communication stuff. And same thing with the HVAC. If we come in under cost, if we go over cost, and we got the contingency there. The important thing is that we do need to get this submitted. If you look at who submitted these, the bigger townships and that have already got their costs in and their request in. They're being reviewed right now. They're looking at starting to hand out money, and we don't want to be in the position where we are the last ones and we don't get the money. This all has to still be approved by the state to get the money. So with that,
Are you taking discussion now, Ken?
I'm going to take discussion now. Yep.
Okay, after meeting with Steve yesterday, or with him and his staff over there at Bloomingdale Communications, and understanding their needs better, and there are surrounding townships that didn't apply for funds, some that may not commit, we don't know. But I'm wondering if since we seem to be I'm told that we have no shortages, we've got a good budget right now. Do we need to keep the 20,000 contingency fund, or could we commit that now? In addition to this, which would add it to which would make it 199. And we might even think of forgoing the iPads. That's just something for us to discuss. I'm all for whatever we do tonight.
I'm kind of at the point right now myself, and I'm just talking about myself. This is going to be a board decision, but for me, I think what we need to do is to make sure that we approve the right thing tonight and we get it submitted. We can always change it, but we need to get it in the review process so that we do have funding coming. We're not going to get all this money in one lump sum. We're going to get it in little parts and pieces, and if we'll be able to dissect it at that point where it goes. So if we get to the point where we're not spending it on iPads, or that we decide not to do the HVAC, or we decide that we don't need the cushion, we can route more money to Bloomingdale Communications to help with the broadband in our township, which is weak. I mean, we need it.
Well, yes, there's no question that we need it. And honestly, that was never a question in my mind. It was just trying to do what I needed to do first for my due diligence, I believe. And actually, I spoke with one gentleman yesterday who will volunteer if Bloomingdale Communications would like him to talk to other people in other communities. He would be happy to do so because he's got technical knowledge of his own. So I will pass that information on to you and Clerk in an email that can go to Steve. So, I believe what you're saying makes sense. So I guess I'm done.
My comments are fairly brief. Done extensive research on this. Spent 2 hours with BCI and Steve and his team. Got a lot more information and a lot more clarity. And I do believe that we should allocate the $179,000 tonight. We can always increase that. I've also reached out to the county and commissioners, and they're advising that there's paperwork or there's discussion in the works with the U.S. Treasury and the state regarding possibly additional funds coming in that could be reallocated from the county, check from the state to the county, and then the county would reallocate it to the different townships to be used for or in accordance with the ARPA guidelines. The letter from the attorney says, which I concur with from MTA information as well, is that the preliminary matter from the Treasury interim rule of the ARPA funding is continuing to be clarified. So it's not, so to speak, etched in stone yet. But I do believe in order to help get this thing going a little faster, which has always been my intent since we were originally contacting them in 2018, and I was one of the original people that helped set that meeting along with people from the island and some other people from the township. Some of the information that you may not know is that currently they have 210 residents completed in the area, and with the Reconnect one completion, there'd be 533 with a total of 743 total homes in the township. Now, that's 80% of the residents, and don't confuse this with population. This is of the residents that are in the township. That would give us 80% coverage, what I think is fantastic. And it's much needed, not only for working remotely, for people that want to work remotely and can work remotely, but for the medical aspects too of people with COVID situations or heart situations, just plain medical help. I'm all and all other townships that have been contacted are Almena, Arlington, Bloomingdale, Columbia, and Pine Grove. Some have already committed. I certainly hope that Steve and his team reach out a little bit more, and maybe even the commissioners for those particular townships reach out and have them strongly consider supporting this, because it's much needed in the community. And I would definitely support sending or allocating the $179,000 at this point to Bloomingdale Communications.
Thank you, Gary. Chrissy, any comments?
No, I concur with everyone. I think we need to go ahead and dedicate those funds so that Bloomingdale Communications can move forward. Estimates are that we should be receiving our first payment by the end of this month. So it'd be nice to know what to do with the money when it gets here. I mean, it could sit there, but it'd be nice to put it into use. So all I have to say.
Okay, and
Okay.
I just want to make it clear that my comment wasn't to try to hold this up any longer. It was just to see if we could add some right here, right now, tonight. But Ken's comments make sense. We can always give it later.
I'm not opposed if the other board members want to add to it tonight. I mean, I'm not opposed to that. If we want to get rid of the contingency fund, I mean, I think we can do that right now tonight if we want. However, if we need it, then it's gone. So I we would just have to pay with it with township money. So that's really up to us to decide if we want to do that. And I think it's a good idea, Bev. I'm not against it. But I think it's all of us together have to decide what we should do. I think the most important thing is get it in. That's really what we got to do, is get started with it.
Sure.
Again, my personal view is, and I respect Beverly's comments and thought process. I also respect Ken's, and with this cushion here in case we need it for something else, or if something else becomes available. Because the MTA regulations also say that they allow considerable flexibility in what you can use with some of these funds. And of course, we don't know what that flexibility is yet because it is an interim rule. Interim means it's not totally clarified yet as what the attorney says. But for the time being, and the time of essence for Bloomingdale to help them out, I still want to really move forward with this $179,000.
Okay, I think we're ready to vote.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Now, if you're still talking about the rest of this distribution of funds chart, I would like to hold off on any of the other redistributions until we get a little bit more information and do a little bit more due diligence rather than make hasty or rash decisions on that.
You're talking about the iPads and HVACs and the contingent cushiony, right? You want to say in that. I think we all want to say in that. So
How do we feel about at least doing the reimbursement portions, though, the top 5 line items there?
To the emergency services personnel, I believe that we should get that taken care of.
Yeah, because the top 5 line items are costs we have already incurred. And so this would simply be allocating those funds to reimburse us for the costs we already incurred.
I would concur with the top 5.
I think what we ought to do, we ought to approve submitting this as written.
Yeah.
And then we're going to, before we do any distribution, we need to approve the dispersion of the money to the township board still, I think.
We don't actually have to submit this to the state, but we do need to definitely provide commitment of what we want to give to the Bloomingdale Communications for them, for their purposes.
I thought we had to have this in. Have you already sent in the request for the funds?
I already requested all the funds. We're waiting for our audit to be done right now. We're kind of getting towards the end of the list of audits, so we should be getting payment soon. And they will need this.
Didn't the audit require that we provide what we're spending it on?
No, not yet. But we do.
No, that's the allocation.
Yep,
Okay.
we will eventually have to provide this, but
So
right now we're just committing.
So basically, we want a motion to commit to Bloomingdale Communications $179,000.00.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
simple, right?
Yep.
Can I get a motion on that?
So moved.
Gary moved. Do I got a second?
I'll support.
Beverly shaking her head. Yes.
Yes.
And roll call vote. Casey?
Yes,
I said Casey, didn't I?
you did.
Rhonda's absent. Gary, you vote?
Yes.
Yeah, Beverly
Yes.
and Ken, yes.
And Casey,
Yeah.
you
It's
got me saying
contagious.
it's catching.
You know, on my,
I assume-
on my notes here, I have her name written down by Casey, but I have everyone else's by first name, so I don't know. I don't know. Now, I kind of had.
I'm assuming that Christie already has set up for these funds this supposedly 528 designation item or deposit line, and then it could be pointed out from that.
Yeah, the grant fund line. Are you talking about the account number?
Correct.
Yes, yeah, yep, it'll be all
Okay.
set up.
It's good to go.
All right.
Okay, we're
Ken,
gonna
would you-
move to new business now.
Ken, would you entertain a motion on the first 5 line items?
Yes,
Okay, I'm gonna move to move forward with all the recommended fund reimbursements as presented when the ARPA funds are received.
the first 5, the cleaning and the medical, right?
The reimbursements, those are all the reimbursements, yep.
And does that include the reimbursements? I'm sorry, I'm having trouble opening
That
the packet that I'm looking at. Does that include the reimbursements to the fire personnel, the emergency
Yes.
personnel?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
it includes all of those invoices that I included.
I
The
see
only
it now.
additional thing that I included in that top 5 line items was the cost for the cleaning that we have to have done tomorrow.
Yes, I see that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Christie made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll support.
Roll call vote. Christie,
Yes,
Rhonda's absent. Gary,
Yes, sir.
Beverly,
Yes.
and Ken, yes. Now, we all done? With
With
old business?
that.
Okay, good. We're doing good. New business, Great Bear Lake Association, Special Assessment District. John, are you ready?
Yes, I am, Ken. Thank you very much. Hello, folks. John Buren here. I am calling from Great Bear Lake. I am the president of our Voluntary Lake Association. Been a resident here on the lake for 17 years. Our Great Bear Lake Association board stands for Water Quality, Community Education, and Safety. And we have been asked by our board members to pursue a special assessment district for aquatic weed management. It's our intent to move forward with the Act 188 of 1954 in order to put the special assessment into place. What's unique about Great Bear Lake is we have residents that reside in Bloomingdale Township and Columbia Township. So we have met with Jim Lazowski, the supervisor of Bloomingdale Township, and gained his support that if we achieve the appropriate acreage votes in favor of the special assessment district, that he and the township supervisor, or I'm sorry, trustees would support the special assessment. I had reached out to Ken going back maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago and had requested the same. So Ken asked me to come and just present our intent here at the board meeting. So that's what I'm doing. Ultimately, we have known milfoil on the lake, and we have a number of nuisance weeds that have been identified. So it's our intent to pursue that special assessment so that we can have those treated like many of the other lakes in the area. Additionally, we have the unique situation of the Bloomingdale Township attorney does not have great familiarity with the special assessment district process. So there is an attorney who supports Cheshire Township by the name of Craig Rolfe. And he's somebody who we, the board, have met with, and he had volunteered to act as, the attorney to manage the process and make sure that, all the appropriate steps were done on behalf of both townships to make sure that, everything adheres to the statute and everything else. So we were interested in having Mr. Rolfe provide those services. And as is, common with a special assessment district, attorney fees can be included in the special assessment district. That's going to support the public hearing notices, any mailings and things like that. And, sort of the standard processes that go with the special assessment. So I wanted to just present that information, let everybody know of our intent. And then what I would ultimately ask is, for your approval, assuming we meet the 51% of acreage, required to make the special assessment district happen, that we would gain your support, assuming we achieve that hurdle of getting the votes. So Ken, to you.
Oh, you're back to me?
Yep.
Well, I think we need to sit down with your attorney at some point in time. I think what my first thought is that we probably need a special assessment district on this side of the lake to make sure that we probably have 51% of them in Columbia Township also in agreement that they want this on their properties, like the part that's going to be in Columbia. But
Yeah, and speaking,
I'd like to sit down with your attorney and go over that and make sure that we're doing it right in that area. And other than that, I if the people on the lake want a special assessment district, they should have one.
Okay, and then other board members, I just would ask for your approval, again, assuming we follow the process, that we'd have your support as well.
I don't think we have anything on the to be able to vote on anything tonight. We can ask them,
there's no vote. I was just looking to see if there was any questions or concerns.
I think I'm
what
pretty
would you
sure
wanna do?
Gary's very familiar with a special assessment district. I don't see he's going to be against it. Gary, you speak for yourself.
I don't see a problem with it at all at this point. The formalities have to be done and procedures followed. And if that's the case, then they can pursue what they'd like to pursue.
Yeah. Beverly's, any comment on it?
My only comment is, once it's on the agenda, I mean, I don't have a problem with people doing what they want to do with their lake associations. At this point, I don't have anything to read or look at or to weigh in on, except I don't have any particular reason why I would be against it if it's all legal and that sort of thing.
Okay, great.
Chrissy?
Well, because I have to run the elections and this would be on a ballot, I'm going to withhold any comment at this time.
Okay. They probably won't get into the election. They don't normally do that. They just don't go around and get a petition and signatures. And then once they get to 51% of the land area.
Yeah, I don't think this involves any election. Ultimately, we would run through the process, and then there is permitting and other things that are required to happen, but that's done by the provider and done only after all the hearings and everything else are done. So,
John, I can tell you this. I think that we are on board with doing this if that's what the residents of Columbia Township want, and we would support it, and we would work at making sure that you're complying with the Public Act for Special Assessment District 188. And I don't think it'd be said any better than that.
No, I greatly appreciate it, everybody. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Okay, we're at item new business 1-2, Township Investment and Depository Designated Resolution. We have a resolution before us on designating 3 banks as the Township authorized financial institution. Some of this is being caused by Chemical Bank or the TFC Bank now becoming Huntington Bank. Is there any discussion on this? Anyone need to discuss?
Yeah, I did want to just state, because it was brought up during our public comments, it's not hard for us to add additional financial institutions to this later. However, TCF is officially going away before our next board meeting. So and Rhonda has reviewed this. I provided this to Rhonda prior to providing it to the board. Rhonda reviewed it and told me that she didn't have any edits to it at the time. She may have changed her mind since then, But at the time, she said she did not have any changes to be made. So I would just suggest that we move forward with it. And then we can always, like I said, add additional financial institutions later. That's not a difficult process.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve resolution 2021-17, the Township Investment and Depository Designation Resolution?
My only comment before any motions made is that I don't have a problem moving forward with this as long as it can be added to or different institutions can be added or deleted at for whatever reason.
Well, that can
and
happen
changed.
anytime. Two board members can get it on the agenda and away it goes. And I'll be the first one that will agree with it, so. If we gotta change something. Any
I'll
other
move-
comments? Go ahead, Gary, you like to make the motion?
I'll move that we, can you slide that down, Christie, a little bit so I can see it?
Want me to read the motion I have written here?
No. There you go. I move that we accept or adopt the resolution 2021-017 for the Township Investment and Depository Designation as written.
Very nice. I'll support that.
That was Beverly.
Yes.
Vote, Christie.
Yes.
Rhonda's absent. Gary,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
and Ken's yes. Moving on to item 1.3. Cemetery flags. We're gonna update, do maintenance on them and that. I did get a hold of Dave Johnson. He would like 4 flags, so your price has changed. So basically, right now, we have 2 flags totaling $138 for the cemetery, 4 flags totaling $276 for the fire department, solar top lights for 3 locations, totaling $165. 2 will be in the cemetery, 1 will be at the township hall. When you put all that together, it's $579. And if you round it up, it'd be not to exceed $600. Any discussion on that? I had to take my calculator out and calculate all this, you know. The thing you don't see in this memo is the Dave Johnson 4 flags at $176.
Yeah, Gary did put a little note at the bottom that said he thought he wanted the 4 flags, but yeah.
Correct. But the cost,
Well,
I got,
we've got the cost not to exceed, so
Yep.
I think that's all we need.
yeah, but it's instead of 500, it's 600 with the 4 flags.
I did change that so the updated
Yeah.
agenda shows the 600
Yes.
and including fire stations. So the motion, you know what, I'll just make the motion. I'll move to approve updates and maintenance on flagpoles in cemeteries and fire stations at a cost not to exceed $600.
I'll support. This is Bev.
We got a second. Roll call. Christie,
Yes.
Rhonda's absent. Gary,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
Ken's yes. Cemetery software is I4. I think this is being asked that we get a motion to postpone the cemetery software until next month. Do we need any discussion?
No,
I
and I'll
just-
make that, oh, I'm sorry.
It was okay. I just wanted, so that everybody knows why it's even on here. Last month, we moved to postpone until this month, so technically it had to be on the agenda. And part of the reason we're postponing is because there's some additional things that came up that need to have further investigation, that are a higher priority.
I'll move to postpone cemetery software until next month.
Beverly made a motion. Do I get a second?
Gary, moved.
Gary's got the second. Christie,
Yes.
Rhonda's absent. Gary,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
Ken's yes. And it's time for public comment. Item number J. Christie, you got the hands?
I don't see any yet, but if people want to put them up, they can. So does anybody have a public comment at this time? Erin, go ahead.
Well, I'm really impressed. I think this was a really productive meeting. I'm a big one to promote good communication amongst different team members, and I really felt like that happened tonight. There have been a few times that we have not always done that, and I think I will just privately talk to whoever needs to know that rather than have that at a public meeting. But basically, I just like to encourage that everybody's talking to each other in between meetings, but still within the Open Meetings Act guidelines. I just think that benefits the whole team. So that's it for tonight. Thank you.
Christie, I have one.
Yeah, go ahead, Dale.
I want to thank everyone for moving forward with the ARPA funding with Bloomingdale Communications. A lot was said about due diligence, which I commend. I think it should have started before the August meeting, not afterwards. One only has to look at Supervisor Speicher's email to the board the morning following the August board meeting to understand the due diligence did not happen before the August meeting. I'll be happy to provide that email to anyone who wants it that's listening. I also understand that some board members are upset that I sent out an email with their phone numbers asking people to call them about how important the high-speed internet project is to both the Saddle Lake and Silver Lake associations and other people. I also met with Steve at Bloomingdale Communications, and per Steve from Bloomingdale Communications and also Gary tonight, this project will provide additional high-speed internet to 533 homes, taking it to 743 out of 919 homes / locations, according to the census data for Columbia Township, with high-speed internet. This is a great thing for a community our size. I mean, how many rural communities have that kind of coverage? So I don't even know why we're even having to discuss something like this. It just should, we should just grabbed onto it and ran with it. These numbers haven't changed since the presentation in July. There's no new homes have been added. So like I said, it just should have happened. As far as people being upset with me for sending out numbers, you're our first line of government and your numbers should be accessible on the township website. I shouldn't have to dig for them. And they did not come from the township hall, in case you're wondering. You're basically our first contact, and you should take pride and not angered because your constituents are calling you to voice your opinions. And so no matter what, I won't have my husband grandstand for me at a board meeting. You can count on that. One last thing I do know, and I want to thank you all for the hard work you do for the township. Though we may not always agree, and we don't have to agree, I do want to thank you for what you do for the township, because I've sat up there and I know how hard it can be. It's kind of a thankless job. So thank you.
All right, Ed Z, go ahead.
Thank you. And thank you all board members for the great job that you folks do. I know I've lived in the shadows for many years and only recently started taking note of local goings on, and I appreciate all your efforts. I have a question regarding dealing with Drainage Commission and Road Commission with respect to gravel roads and maintenance. I've used the C-Click Fix application to get some movement going for some of our drainage and road grading concerns. But it's hard to get them to kind of finish things up. And I'm wondering if anyone has had experience of, is there a better way? Do we, go to in-person meetings to kind of escalate our concerns, or just looking for recommendations from the folks?
Oh, okay, so Ed, just so you're aware, we are not able to answer questions in the public comment forum. However, if you can leave contact information in the chat or email the supervisor will reach out to you to discuss this further.
All right, that's perfect. Thank you.
Ed, just to let you know, I do have a meeting coming up with the county road commissioners, and if I can have your concerns with me when I meet with them, I can see that they get addressed.
And who was that from? I'm sorry.
You're talking to Ken Speicher, and I'm meeting with them, I think, the last week of this month.
Very good, Ken. I'll send you my contact info.
You got my email? You can get it off the website, supervisor@columbiatwp.com.
Perfect. I'll do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Ricky,
Can you guys hear me?
sure can.
Hey, I'm Ricky here from Breedsville, and I work with Breedsville Associates on the cannabis farm. We have a couple questions on what the hemp ordinances are for Columbia Township. Do you guys have any hemp ordinances, or is that even allowed?
Again, we can't answer those questions in a public forum. You
Okay.
can reach out to our zoning administrator. Her contact information is on our website and she'll be able to help you.
Okay. And I was listening to the whole meeting. I heard you guys talking about the Bloomingdale communications. Is that going to reach out to Breedsville as well, or no?
I would suggest you contact Bloomingdale Communications to determine how far they're reaching with that
Okay.
project.
Because I know quite a few of the cannabis farms wouldn't mind even helping out with that need be, as we do not have the greatest internet service out here in Breedsville, and it's hard to do business with no internet service. So, I think that's it for me. If you guys have any questions as regarding helping out with that, do you guys need my contact info for that?
If you want to send your contact information, I can provide it to the zoning administrator, or you
Okay.
can reach out to her directly. It's completely up to you.
I'll reach out to her, and that's all I needed. Thank you.
Okay, Steve, go ahead.
So I'd like to thank the Township Board for allocating funds to us. One of the things I want to also thank is that a number of residents and property owners in the township that wrote letters, that made calls in a positive, and did all of those things in a positive way. Quite honestly, it's humbling to me. It's humbling to me to have the Township Board allocate funds to us. What I want you to understand is that now it's our job to make good on that. As part of the discussion with both Gary and Beverly, one of the things that I tried to let people understand is that because this is a USDA Rural Utility Service federally funded project, that we're getting additional funds from the township for, there's already a high level of scrutiny. There's a high level of scrutiny from the procurement and bidding process. There's a high level of scrutiny for the way that the work needs to get done. There's a high level of scrutiny for sign-offs, for disbursements of funds, for everything else, including the USDA Rural Utility Service has its own audit function. So we have auditors that come in as the project goes along. I take all of those things very seriously, and quite honestly, I take all of this as a challenge to our company to continue to provide great service. And I think one of the things that I've heard a couple of times is that when this project is done in the township, there will be about 80% of the township residents, the homes or locations, however you want to say that, that'll be served by fiber to the home. And that is an amazing thing. And quite honestly, it's like that's just the starting point. From a certain perspective, we all need to continue to try and do better so that throughout all of these areas that we have great service. Just because you live in a rural area, just because your home is in a rural area, doesn't mean you don't deserve as good a service as anyone who lives anywhere. So thanks again to the township board and the trustees, the folks that have, again, probably listened to me more times than they wanted to, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dave?
Yes, I'm a Breedsville Village resident, and myself, my family, many friends that are in the Columbia Township are concerned about the water supply at the cemetery just outside of Breedsville, the Columbia Township cemetery. I've talked to Jeff Gasper about this issue, and last year we had water toward the end of the year. This year we had no water. Numerous people plant flowers and plants and things for their loved ones that are there. And what I was told is that there's been a lot of discussion about this, I guess, between Jeff and the board. And I'd like to know if you guys have any updates on that, or are we looking at any kind of frost-free hydrants, which I understand would be ideal for that. Then you wouldn't have to worry about shutting the water on and off. You wouldn't worry about the tanks and that type of thing. So do you have any updates or comments on that?
Hey, Dave, give me a call or email the supervisor at columbiatwp.com, and we're going to be driving a well down there. It's going to be volunteers to do it. I ended up getting the virus, so I haven't got down there yet, but it's on my agenda to get a well there and to get a well at the transfer station.
So
get a hold of me. I'll tell you about when it's going to happen.
Okay, I'll get more information from you if I can. All right.
Okay, and
That's
then
all
I
I
have, thank you. All right,
Thank
I
you.
have a comment from Roger Fleming. He said, with regard to Bloomingdale Communications, what conditions and guarantees are placed on the $179,000? For example, when will fiber broadband be available? Any cost reductions, installation fee, monthly costs for property owners commensurate with township funding? All right, anyone else have a public comment at this time? Hey, I'm not seeing any more hands or chats, Ken.
Okay, I'd like to move on to correspondence and announcements. And I think the only thing I have is our next board meeting will be October 19th at
I have-
7 p.m. Go ahead.
I have one more. Hold on, let me pull it up.
Okay.
Okay, so on October 12th, from 6 to 7:30, the fire department is having an open house at Fire Station 2. And on November 20th, from 12 until 6, they're doing their annual Stuff the Truck event at Family Dollar. All proceeds will be donated to the TAB building in Breedsville and the church next to Station 1.
What was that second date, Christy? I'm sorry.
Again, those
20th.
dates, yep, November 20th. So the dates again, October 12th from 6 to 7:30 for the open house at Fire Station 2, and November 20th from noon until 6 for the Stuff the Truck event at Family Dollar.
Okay, moving on to board comments. Gary.
Well, thank you. I have a short comment. I just wanted to actually thank all the people who contacted me by email or by phone regarding your feelings about the broadband funding. It's too bad that incorrect and misinformation was sent out. The good thing is that it spurred in a lot of comments and information, so that was good. I do have a group that I look out for, and that group consists of the property owners and taxpayers of the township. Having a fiduciary responsibility to them regarding financial obligations and any dollars to be spent, and in short, due diligence. With that said, as it turns out, not only can there be ARPA funds for use for investments in broadband, but also provides for, according to Township Focus August 2021, great flexibility on how a township can use the money. Besides the use of numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you can check their website. A survey was sent out to the township residents for feedback on regarding what is important to them and what they would like to see in a township. And the deadline for that survey was August 2nd of this year. And a summary was given to the Planning Commission on August 11th of this year. I requested a copy on August 23rd so I could review it. And at this point, I still haven't received it, so I don't know where it is. Therefore, I want a big thank you to those of you who called in and emailed. After meeting with Steve and his team at the BCI for over 2 hours, additional insight and information was obtained, as I mentioned earlier. And if you're interested in the progress, I would encourage you to contact them. They're welcome any kind of questions. I know that Steve doesn't want to toot his own horn. They're doing a fantastic job, so I'm going to toot it for him. I can tell you that Steve and his team are diligently hard at work to complete the USDA RUS Reconnect Round 1 as soon as possible. Whenever the government's involved, like with grant money, there are always very stringent and specific regulations, sometimes causing slight delays, including COBA. BCI is doing a fantastic job, in my opinion, in keeping this project phase on track. And also, I'm pleased to be part of the venture by granting funds to them to help with the completion. I would encourage other townships to do so as well. Thank you.
Beverly Sherrer.
Yes, I actually have a comment tonight. First, I would like to remind everyone to continue taking precautions against COVID, especially if you are not vaccinated, and ask all of those that are so inclined to pray for those who have become ill with it, as we have some people ill with it right now. And I encourage all the folks, I thank and encourage the folks that, and I'm reading this because I'm not good at off the cuff. I encourage all the folks that contacted board members regarding the ARPA funds to consider listening in on future meetings and to stay involved. A good number of the folks I heard from live in Illinois, and although you're not able to vote here, it doesn't mean you can't be heard. Thank you to those who called me on my home phone so that I could actually talk with you. I do not normally give out my cell number, as it is the worst way to contact me, for the simple reason is that it is the most unreliable way to reach me. I have spotty service when out and about, and none at all when I'm in my home, unless I'm in a certain room hooked up to the Wi-Fi. And I am always open to hear from anyone. My landline is 269-427-0990. That is on my business card at the Township Hall, and I believe it is posted on the Township website. Last, I would respectfully ask those that represent their assumptions as fact to consider that you may cause harm. To me, if you say to a community member that a board member voted a certain way out of spite to another board member because of a difference of opinion, that's not only negative and harmful, but it's not the truth. It is your opinion. And if you say to a board member something along the lines of, boy, those other board members sure have a problem with you because a vote was not unanimous, again, that's your opinion, your assumption, and only speaks to the way you see the world, not to the reality. Just because a person thinks something doesn't make it the truth. If we prey on the vulnerabilities of each other that we all have, and we try to divide, will never serve the public good. It never has and never will. It might serve the federal and state politicians for their fundraising efforts, but it doesn't serve the people in this community that you are all a part of and that I am a part of. Instead, give the officials that this community elected enough benefit of the doubt to call them and express your opinion and ask questions of them personally, something that doesn't get to happen in meetings. We can't give the back and forth in a meeting the way we can in a phone conversation or a face-to-face conversation, or even an email. Then decide how you want to proceed. From what I know of this board so far, each member accepts the fact that we are individuals and we will not always agree on everything without question, if we are doing what we were sent here to do. We might not like every discussion or decision, but we accept that because that is part of the process. I have not seen anyone holding grudges. We aren't here for the money. We're definitely not here because it's so much fun, but we are here because we truly wanted to try and make a positive difference in Columbia Township if we could. As for me personally, like all of us, I am far from perfect. I know that. But I do continue trying every day to do a better walk in the world and hopefully to add a little good here and there whenever I get the opportunity. I can say that as a trustee, I am sincere and try my best to make the right decisions. Thank you for your time.
Christy Case.
I'm just going to take a moment to address something Gary said first. Gary, did you request those survey results from me? Hey, you're muted.
I'm sorry, didn't have my mic on. I said, no, I did not. And we can cover that at a different time. I don't
Okay.
believe this is a time and a place for that type of discussion. Thank you.
That's fine. I do want to mention that those results are all available online in the Planning Commission agenda packet, board packets. So the commission packets do have that included online. And anyone can see those survey results to see what the area has been discussing. I want to reiterate what Bev said about COVID and about board politics, we'll put it that way. I concur with what she has said, and I really, we've had a difficult time here in the past couple of weeks, and it is really important that we continue to keep in mind not only the health of ourselves, but the health of others.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, I think this was a fantastic meeting. I greatly appreciate everyone doing their due diligence and really appreciate Bloomingdale Communications working so hard to inform us the best that they can and for reaching out to our citizens and providing a great service and in the future, an even better service. So thank you all.
Thank you, Christy. It's up to me. I also want to thank everyone for providing us input on the ARPA. I'm glad we move forward with that. That's a good thing to do. We do have fire lane 3 that we are cleaning up. We are running into some technical difficulties doing that right now. Some equipment broke down and I broke down, but I'll be back at it. We did have a RV move into fire lane 7. We're going to address that with a notice of violation tomorrow. We also had on fire lane 3 trailers moved onto a vacant lot. That's been addressed. Those were supposed to have been moved by tomorrow night. Today I had the sheriff crew that was supposed to work with us, but it was raining. They was going to work on fire lane 3 cleanup of the property that we have, and that didn't happen. I do plan on getting the wells installed. We're going to hand drive those, and I plan on getting some cemetery posts put up, and I plan on doing a lot of cleaning along the Calhaven Trail up to the cemetery at the township, and try to get all the dead wood out of there. I do have a permit from the DNR to do all that. And we want to get that all cleaned up, looking a lot better. We have already cleaned up the future cemetery. We got it mowed. We trimmed the trees. We cleaned up a lot of brush around the outside of it. And we're going to continue trying to clean up and make the township property look a little bit better. We had a very good board meeting tonight. I like all the discussion. Everything went very well. We got a lot of things that we're still working on, things that are going to come back. The cemetery, we need to really keep our eye on that. And we're looking to Christie, try to figure out what she's got to do to get that back in shape. It's looks like a mess. With that, let's move on to line item number M. That's called adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
You certainly can. And I'll make
Beverly
it.
made a motion. Do I have a
Yeah.
second?
I'll second.
Gary second. Roll call vote. Christie,
Yes.
Rhonda's not here. Gary,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
Ken is yes. I declare that this meeting is adjourned at 8:35 p.m. You guys have a very nice evening. Drive safely and be safe at home. Stay away from the virus.
Yeah, glad you're feeling better.
I'm still tired.
Yeah,
Other symptoms are gone, but I'm exhausted.
you don't
Literally
sound
exhausted.
100%.
Yeah, I'm a little stuffed up, but it's not, my nose isn't running. I haven't got a headache. I haven't got a fever. I don't have a sore throat. I don't
Yeah,
have chest pains. I don't have body pains.
last I heard, I think Rhonda's still pretty sick.
Yeah, that's what I heard from her yesterday when I talked to her. I asked her if her